Hi, this is JT Romuto. Welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki. It's the Phillies Show. It's Friday, March 21st, 2025. A lot of news happening in Clearwater. The big news right at the top, of course, is that Garrett Stubbs got optioned to Triple-A on Thursday. Raphael Marchan is now going to be the backup catcher opening the 2025 season. But some other news we want to talk about as well, Jim, and that is Matt Strom felt better today. He threw a bullpen session yesterday, Thursday, and Ranger Suarez also is feeling a little bit better with his back. Jim, we talked with Dave Dombrowski earlier Thursday before he went down to Northport for the Braves, and he says he still thinks there's a chance that Ranger Suarez can be ready by opening day. Still, it's not a matter of fact that he's going to open the season on the injured list or anything like that. So seems like some good news on Strom. Seems like some good news on Suarez. Still a lot to be decided. Nothing's been decided. But let's talk about Garrett Stubbs and Raphael Marchan. Not a surprise, I guess, in your mind.
No, not a surprise. Just because of the, I guess what you'd call the business of baseball. It's a premium position in the middle of the diamond. It's a tough, rigorous position, and you need to protect your depth. And that's what the Phillies did there. Garrett Stubbs had a minor league option. The Phillies have utilized it. Raphael Marchan did not have a minor league option. They did not want to risk losing him on waivers if they tried to get him to Triple-A, and they would have lost him. They might have had to trade him. Who knows? But you needed to preserve your upper level catching depth because it's such an important position. You're thin there. So Garrett Stubbs, to me, is still a very important part of this Phillies team. He's just playing his games 70 miles away in Lehigh Valley. So that's I don't think anybody's surprised by it. This is an organization that once upon a time, and I don't even like to talk about this. I don't like to talk about injuries. But, in 1970, they lost two catchers in one game, and they had to go to their third string catcher in one inning within like 4 pitches in San Francisco. Tim McCarver and Mike Ryan went down. So you just need that depth, and it's a long way to Eduardo Tait. And, between Tait, who's going to play in the low minors, and Stubbs and Marchan is like a gulf. And you need this catching depth. They've preserved it. It's a tough break for Garrett Stubbs, but I know you spoke to him, and I was able to check out that interview, and his attitude is unbelievable. This guy is a total professional. I mean, you guys had this interview all set up, and he gets very difficult news today, and he says, no, we're still doing the interview. To me, that's a professional. That's a man's man. And, a lot of people would say, he's media friendly. No, that's not media friendly. That's fan friendly, because, the media is just the middleman connecting to the fan. This is a guy who opened up today to you about how he felt about having to go to the minors, and he spoke to the fans. And now the fans have an idea of what's going on in his mind and his heart. And that's what you call, he's a professional athlete, but he's a professional athlete. And I love some of the things I heard, the attitude he's going to go down there with. And one of the things that really jumped out at me is how he hopes to help a guy like Mick Abel. Can you imagine if he helps a guy like Mick Abel take a big step forward, what that will mean for Mick Abel, for the Phillies, for the franchise, for the fans? I look at Garrett Stubbs, very, very bright guy, very articulate. Anybody who's ever heard him talk and will hear him talk in a minute knows that. This is a guy who could be a pitching coach someday. With these pitching staffs, of coaching staffs at the major league level, there's 2 and 3 guys handling the pitchers, right? The way he game plans, the way he communicates. It's a guy who could, when his playing career is over, I think he can still play for a long time, but I think he can make contributions to a major league team on somebody's pitching staff, not a pitcher, somebody's pitching coaching staff, game planning staff, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So the way he has handled this, really professional.
And you think like, and I meant this when I said this to him. I said, do you ever come into the ballpark just to be like, I just don't feel like talking to anybody today, Jim? Because I mean, like like I think for like most people, or at least for me, some days I'm just like, oh man, I'm not in the mood. I just whatever happened at home or whatever, I take it to the ballpark, and it just but Garrett Stubbs is constantly upbeat, and that's why I do think the ability for him to go down there and still contribute to the big league team, even if he's not on the big league team, by maybe working with some of these young pitchers like Mick Abel. I mean, Garrett Stubbs, behind the scenes, hard worker, great preparer, really good at helping his pitchers. And he's also just a good like a hype man almost. And I feel like if anybody could work with somebody with a pitcher that's maybe struggling with their confidence, Garrett Stubbs is his guy. But yeah, he handled everything today so incredibly well. When we first talked to him in the morning, he talked about, listen, I don't know if I could have changed anybody's mind with no matter how I played. And Dave Dombrowski basically confirmed that when we talked to him afterward. He's like, yeah, there's really nothing more he could have done this spring to win this job. And so it's kind of a weird spot to be in, knowing that no matter how well you play, the cards are kind of stacked against you. But the fact that he was he took it so well. He left the ballpark today. He's going to go over to the complex tomorrow, he said, and start work. He's not going to, take his whatever. I think he can get like 2 or 3 days, Jim.
72 hours. Yeah.
2 hours. Yeah. So he says he's going to get over there and get to work, which again says a lot about him. He
sure does.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, we had
and the flip side of this, Todd, is hey, Raphael Marchan gets a chance, and Garrett is flat out said Raphael Marchan's a heck of a player. He's happy for him. They're friends. Stubbs has mentored him, and I talked to Marchan about that a couple weeks ago, and he was very complimentary of Stubbs, how he's helped him learn to game plan for pitchers. So it's an opportunity for Marchan. It comes at the expense of Garrett Stubbs, but Garrett Stubbs remains very crucial to the big picture here. A lot can happen over 162 games. A lot can happen. So very healthy attitude from Garrett Stubbs. And it's kind of a decision that the Phillies had to make. It's like Ruben said the other day, sometimes you have to be selfish as an organization. They had to be selfish here. They had to preserve their catching depth.
Yeah, it would have just been the wrong move. Stubbs had made the team. Somebody goes down, and now you're really digging deep into the farm system, or you're just kind of scrambling. So it makes a lot of sense. But Garrett. One more thought on that is that Garrett said he was going to text Marchan. Says it was a text that he would appreciate it if when he got sent down to the minor leagues, and I'm sure that text message is going to be, very positive and very much go out and do a great job. I hope he win a ton of games for the Phillies because hey, at the worst, at the least, Stubbs hopes to be back in September and contributing to this team some way, somehow, if he's not up there a little bit earlier. So here is our chat yesterday with Garrett Stubbs is coming up right after these words.
FT fam, I hope you have as much confidence as Penelope right now, who is an avid Spot and Tango fan, okay? And she uses the code FOUL, Kratz, because this is a personalized dog food subscription service that prevents you, of course, from going to the store to pick up the food, and she just gets the highest quality unkibble. That is what they're known for. And I know you love the quiz part of it too.
It's a super quick quiz, but it lets you give them the information and they tailor it to what is needed based on their age, size, activity level, all things that are custom for each and every one of your dogs.
Yeah, human grade ingredients in that unkibble. USDA meat, fruits, and veggies that are approved there. No artificial stuff, no preservatives. They've got the exclusive deal for the FT fam for a limited time. Go to spotandtango.com/foul. Use code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/foul. It's spotandtango.com/foul, code foul.
Garrett, thanks for coming on the Phillies Show. A little background for the people that are watching and listening. So we've been talking about you coming on for a few days, and you were kind of talking about, what day would work, when you're going to be on the road, what our schedules are like. And then of course, today you find out you get option, but a testament to your character we get done talking to you for like about 10 minutes in the clubhouse earlier this morning at Baycare Ballpark, and then you go, yeah, if you still want to do this and talk, you still want to talk. I mean, you could have easily said like, hey man, I just need to get away and chill out and get away. I mean, you know, why were you open to it, I guess? And like, does that speak to kind of your mindset as you got this news today?
Yeah, look, I mean, one, you guys treat us fairly and well in that locker room, and I enjoy having the conversations with you guys. To me, you know, if we did it prior to today, then we're probably on here speculating of what's going to happen. You know, how are your feelings about it? What do you think's going to happen? And now we know. You know, it's obviously done with. And I said in our interview earlier today, it was something that I knew was possible coming into camp. But as far as like doing this interview, I really feel like you guys, the media, and then the fans are what drive this city, right? You know, if you were to like compare it to like I'm not a big F1 guy, but if you're going to compare it to like an F1 racing car, you know, we might be the shiny car and the driver in the seat, but the engine and what makes that car go is you guys, the media, and then our fans. So I'm always happy to be available for you guys.
I mean, you know, obviously super tough news today. Like, what was your immediate reaction when you got it? I mean, I think everybody kind of speculated or thought coming into camp, knowing what you have an option, Marchan does not. Was it still kind of like, oh crap, here's the tap on the shoulder? Or
yeah, it stings no matter what. Even if you have, I don't know if I had the expectation, but I knew the reality of the situation.
Right.
So no matter what, when it does happen, it stings, and you always feel like, all right, no matter what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to perform as best as I can, and maybe we'll change some minds. I don't think there are any minds to change here. I think there was a business decision that had to be made, and like I said earlier today, Marchan's a great player, so I fully expect him to go out there, perform, and help the team win. But you know, my last 3 years, I've done just that: is do nothing but help this team win, whether it be on the field, off the field. That's been my mindset from the very beginning. So there was always the thought in the back of my head, you know, we've had a really good thing going, and I've helped this team win. So maybe they'll see that, and that will be the decision that's made at the end of the day. But now we're sitting here, and this is the decision that's made, and we'll just try to help the team win in any way we can.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Dombrowski kind of said the same thing. It was a business decision. It doesn't necessarily indicate. He basically said it like it was just tough, you know, with the option situation, the organizational depth situation, that there's really almost nothing you could have done just because of that situation. So as a guy who's been in the game for several years, you're the player rep for the union, but you're obviously a super important piece of the clubhouse, like the chemistry of the clubhouse. Is it just kind of a harsh reminder of just, man, this is a brutal business?
Yeah, I think that there's different moments that I've had throughout my 10 years in professional baseball where I've happened to me multiple times, and, you know, add this one to the list, but I've seen it happen to other players as well, where the business kind of just bites you in the butt, and that ends up being a decision that's made. And sometimes you're get the crap end of the stick, if you will. So this is just one of those moments, and I take it for what it is, as at face value. I don't think that there was any ill will by the organization. In fact, I know there wasn't. It was a business decision that they made. If I was in their shoes, I might make the same decision. In that same sentence, like I said before, we've done a lot of winning. So there also could have been the decision gone the other way. And that's why I come into spring training knowing the situation, but also understanding that maybe there will be a different outcome. But now we're in this situation.
What was the reaction of some of your teammates? I mean, you know, guys that you have really bonded with over the years. Like JT, you talked to JT, Schwarbs is in there this morning, Harper, all those guys. I mean, you guys are buds, you know?
Yeah. You know, they're down in the dumps about it too. I think that I know the feeling of last year when Witt got DFA'd or released or whatever you want to call it from the team, and it really was a gut punch to the locker room, and we didn't necessarily take it very well. But once again, just decisions that are made, and those are just tough decisions. And I know that, you know, guys at the front office don't want to make those decisions, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to make them. But yeah, our rest of our locker room was they took it hard. I've gotten texts from guys that were on the Northport trip to play the Braves that were, just saying they were bummed and sorry and, hope the best and can't wait to see you soon. And so, yeah, JT came up to me and was like, yeah, the clubhouse took a big hit today. And not only that, they know that I'm also a good baseball player and help us win performance-wise and with helping guys as far as our pitching staff too. But, yeah, the clubhouse is obviously where I'm going to miss the most, and I think helped create a winning locker room.
For sure. What about have you talked to Marchan at all? Or
I didn't see him today.
Okay. Is that
I
something
think he was on
do?
the trip.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I didn't see him this morning either.
Yeah, like for me, Marchan's a great player, and I hope he goes out there and performs and helps the team win. So, I'll shoot him a text and wish him nothing but the best, because I know in the past when I've been in the different situations, I would have loved to get a text like that. So I want him to help this team win, and just like I'll do in Triple-A now is get those guys prepared mentally and physically to be able to perform at the big league level. Yeah, you did make a point to say that today. So I hope he goes out and he plays well. I hope he helps the Phillies win some games, because in the end, you want to win. Yeah. And Dave Dombrowski said this earlier today too. You said it today too. I expect to be back at some point this season. If it's only September, if everybody stays healthy and it's only September, it's only September. But you expect to be back. Dave Dombrowski expects to be back. So you said, I'm rooting hard for Marchan to go out and do well, right? Yeah, whenever I do get that opportunity to be back, like you said, whether it's during the season or just in September, I want to come into a club that's winning. I've done nothing but be a part of winning teams my entire professional career, college career, high school. I mean, summer ball. All I know is winning. That's my bread and butter. That's what I try to do every single day, whether it's and whatever way I can. So I hope to come up to a team that's performing at the highest level. And I said it early in our interview, there's talent, and there's guys that have a lot of talent. And we have that. You look at a stat sheet, and there's not a guy on that team, whether it's the pitching staff or the guys in that lineup, that you're not like, holy crap, these guys are unbelievable players. And then there's the winning side of it. And I think that over the last 3 or 4 years, we've created that winning part. And I don't know if that's always been here until 22. And I know that I had a hand in that, and other guys in the locker room. I could, name guys, but I won't just for the sake of time. But there's that winning culture piece. And when you mesh the two, you get championship teams. And we've had championship teams, even though we've come short of a World Series. I mean, I see it every day. And I know, I say this not just for you, but Schwarber is such a great clubhouse guy. Bryce is a leader in a lot of different ways, and Wheels just kind of he's just a presence, and Nola is just great. So and I always tell this to people that the whole clubhouse chemistry thing, I feel like sometimes is really downplayed when people aren't inside and you don't see how hard the grind of the season and whatnot. I mean, can you speak to what are you kind of most proud of, maybe, what you've helped instill in that clubhouse over the few years? To me, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like just, first of all, you prepare as well as anybody. Pitchers talk about it, the coaches talk about it, but also just your upbeat energy. I can't be like you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm is this guy ever come into the ballpark in just a crappy mood? Is there ever a day where you're just I just don't want to talk to anybody? Because I feel that way when I come to the ballpark. I'm I really don't want to talk to anybody today. But you seem to be the opposite. And I think that helps get these guys through a season. Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, it's not like I have a good day every single day, but I love what I do. And I really do wake up in the morning and I'm would I want to do anything else today? No, absolutely not. I want to be playing for the Phillies, and I want to help win beat whatever team we're playing that day. And I think that coming in with a good attitude about the day is a huge piece of that. And people have stuff that go on at home. People see players out on the field, but these are human beings who have wives and kids and parents, and the family aspect of this. And our organization does a great job including all that. But these are human beings that come in with problems, and to be able to separate the two is really tough. And I think that over the years, I've helped guys just be at their best every single day and try to help them be the human being rather than the jersey with a number and a performance that they have to go out there and do for the fans in the city, which comes naturally for a lot of guys. But those other things that off the field, they come into play every single day. And not everyone knows that stuff day in and day out. But I'd say that, you know, I'm most proud of just trying to get the best out of each guy every single day, and helping that person, whether it be a pitcher or a position player, just be at their best for that game.
I remember Charlie Manuel always used to say that all the time when we would ask him about players, and somebody's like, man, you don't know what's going on at home right now. That guy could, you know, have something going on with a parent, or you know, he got into a fight with his girlfriend, or you know, something going on with one of their kids. You have no idea why that guy might be over 20, you know, and
for
it's
sure.
like, so
the grind of a season and like coming into the ballpark and actually wanting to be there. You know, like there's people that, you know, whether it's baseball or something else, you might really like your job, but if you don't love the people that you're doing it with, it sucks walking into the office, which for us is the stadium every day.
Right.
And so I really enjoy the part of keeping it lighthearted, keeping everyone with a smile on their face so that they can go out there and like be in a good mood to go win a baseball game.
Yeah, but you also do, I know you're in the pitchers meetings and whatnot, and you prepare these pitchers. Can you give people an idea of how that, if you're starting, say you're catching Nola.
Yeah.
What's that preparation like? When do you start? How long does it take? What are those meetings like?
Yeah.
So you guys are all on the same page.
Yeah. I mean, everyone sees the party guy and the lightheartedness, right?
Yeah.
And so
they see the Budweiser box in your head. Your Halloween costume in Philly, you know, I mean,
which is me to a T.
Right.
And my wife likes to say this because she's into the horoscope stuff sometimes, and she's a Gemini and I'm a Gemini, and she's like, you are a split personality, like no doubt, like tailored definition of Gemini, because I have that side that everyone sees on camera. Mm-hmm. That's the part that the media catches most of the time. But when it's game time, I am locked in. I am grinder mode. I am what I believe to be Philadelphia, which is just go out there and work your nuts off to get a win that day, no matter what it takes. And that's the part of going in and studying, getting there hours early, being the first one there to make sure your homework's done, making sure Knowles is prepared or whoever's pitching that day, and going out there and going balls to the wall to get a W. So there are those two different people. And when we win, the Budweiser guy gets to come out. But that only happens if the beginning guy takes care of business and goes out there and gets that W.
I think it was JT was saying, I would get your opinion on this. He said Wheels doesn't really do anything in his pregame meeting. He kind of relaxes and chills. He said Nola actually is like surprisingly vocal and like really,
he's got opinions. Yeah, for sure. And so there's a conversation that happens about how to get guys out. Wheels, and there's other guys too that just kind of want to be told what the prep is that day for getting a hitter out. But Knowles does his own homework. So when we go and have a hitters meeting with Wheels or somebody like Wheels, it might be a 5-10 minute meeting. Mm-hmm. And with Knowles, it might be a 30-minute, because you don't always come out with the same answer of how to get a guy out. So you have to work through what you feel is best between the two of you on how you're going to attack that.
Interesting. So, and you also talked about this morning and how you kind of you're going to bring that same style, that same preparation down to Triple-A, because you're going to have, Nick Vespi and some of these guys that could come up at some point, if it's Kyle Tyler, whoever it might be. There's a lot of guys down there. And so when they get the call, because some of them are going to get the call, you want to get them to be as prepared as possible. So how do you see that? Is it possible to prepare the same way in Triple-A as it is in the big leagues? Is it different? Do you have to adapt? Like, what's that like?
Funny enough, I'm not entirely sure. It's been a few years since I've been back, but I think that as far as I've heard, this organization does a really good job of giving the Triple-A team the same resources or similar to resources as the big leagues, so that when they come up from Triple-A to the big leagues, it's a more seamless transition. So I fully plan on those resources being there, and then using those resources to show some of those guys how things operate in Philadelphia, so that when they do go, they have a full expectation of what they're going to be seeing out of Cotham, out of Lowy, out of JT, so that they can perform at their best. Because if those things are taken care of, then you can just go out there and pitch. And same with the position players. There's different things that happen throughout a day and how the team operates that I feel like a position player would like to know before going up there. But at the end of the day, down in Piggy Land, we're gonna have a good time. Yeah, we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna win a lot of games, and get everyone on the mindset of, we're here to play for the Phils, and whether that be playing and performing to a level where you're a trade piece, or whether you're playing and performing at a level to where they're like, okay, we want to bring this guy up. Whatever that may be, the trade piece will still help the Phillies get somebody, and that is really important. And then performing in order for the team to see you as somebody they want to be in the big leagues is also incredible.
I would think it's one of the younger guys too, like one of the younger pitchers, just to have you to kind of bend your ear a little bit.
Yeah.
And talk them up if they're struggling. A guy like Mick Abel to me would be a great example. I don't know how much you're going to get to work with him, but former first-round pick, you struggle a little bit the past few years. I mean, maybe you can kind of connect with him and pump him up. I mean, that's a part.
Yeah,
of the
and I'm an open
catcher
book.
too,
I'm an open book, so guys know that about me. So I hope that they feel comfortable and also feel like I am a guy that they want to talk to, because they might not want to. I would never push somebody some information that they don't want.
Right.
If they don't want to know anything, then, or hear my opinion on something, then that's all good with me. Whatever makes you perform best, do that. And I think that for some guys, you just said it right there, Mick Abel, former first rounder, that's a lot of pressure.
Right.
And I don't know Mick very well. I've known him from a spring training level, so the weeks that we're here, I've gotten to know him. But I don't know what his day-to-day looks like. So I'll get to know Mick and see kind of how he operates, and as well as other guys. There's been a lot of talks about some really good players down there that hasn't necessarily panned out or gotten to see their talent come to fruition at the big league level. So, I think everyone's an individual pace. So everyone operates differently, just like they do at the big league level. You can't treat Bryce Harper the same as Alec Boehm, the same as me, the same as JT. Everyone's got different personalities, so you just feel it out and see where things go.
Do you think? I guess just you'd rather be up here, you'd rather be JT's backup, of course, but now you're going to get to play more regularly. You talked about some swing changes you made in the offseason.
Yeah.
I guess that's, if the silver lining is it's an opportunity to play regularly, cease pitching, and maybe fine tune some of that work. Do you look at it that way as well, or no?
Sure. Yeah. I'm looking forward to playing, no doubt. There's nothing that would create the narrative that I would rather be playing in Triple-A than not playing in the big leagues. At any point you want to be in the big leagues, no matter what the situation is. So I hope to get back there as soon as possible. I also am going to take that time playing more to try to refine some of my offense. Playing in consistent playing time is a huge piece of rhythm and hitting. So I am looking forward to that. And I think it'll be fun to play with other guys that have been in the big leagues for quite some time. Mercado's been in the big leagues for a substantial time. Arroyo, there's other guys. I think Arroyo is still here. So
Right.
I hope that he stays here.
Right. I know what you're saying.
But there's other guys that have been optioned that have big league time. So I hope that we get together and have a good time.
Is it comforting in the sense of just knowing how crazy the season is that you could be back at any point? Does that kind of help you leave the ballpark today going, okay, this is crappy news, I don't want it, but I do know it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna look and live in Lehigh. I'm not gonna look to of the anticipation of when am I gonna get called up, because that is it's slippery slope, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You also don't ever wish for somebody to be injured, which is usually how guys get called up, and especially in my situation. So I'm going to just live in Lehigh and be focused on what I can do to help Lehigh win and prepare everyone for if that time comes. But I'm not going to sit there and just wonder, when's my time? Because that can be a dark place at times. And I hope other guys see that when I do get there, so that they just focus on what they can control, which is playing at their best level in that Triple-A setting. And whenever that time does come, I'll be ready until Liverpool.
Yeah, you talk about the dark place, man. It just does not seem to be a place that you live in very often.
Yeah.
You know?
But I'm going to enjoy it. I talked to AC earlier today, and I was like, look, man, don't think I'm going to walk into that locker room, some mopey guy, feeling sorry for myself for being in that situation. Like, That's not me. I'm never going to be that person. It's not who I am. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try to win a championship in Lehigh and do all those other things we just discussed. So I think we're going to have fun down there. I know Triple-A is not necessarily a fun place to be, but we're going to make the best of it.
Well, good luck, man. I hope to see you back soon. And you've always been great to us. And I enjoy talking to you after the games when you do catch, because you always provide great analysis on the guys. And hope to see you back here. Get back here soon. And
hope to have those conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you again to Garrett Stubbs for the time. Of course, now Raphael Marchan is going to be JT Realmuto's backup. And if you want to learn more about Marchan, Jim, you actually just wrote about Marchan. It was last week, right? Just a few days ago for allphly.com. Great story. What can you, when fans go there to read it, what should they expect to see? What will they learn about Marchan that they might not know?
He's a kid who signed 10 years ago as a 16-year-old out of Venezuela. He was a middle infielder, much like Carlos Ruiz. And when the Sal Agustinelli, Phillies international scouts, saw him, they didn't think he had a future in the middle of the infield. But, they liked so much about his baseball ability. They said, hey, you ever catch? He went behind the plate, and he was like a natural. So he's done a great job. He's really become a man in the Phillies system, having 10 years now in the minors, a little bit up and down between Lehigh Valley and the big leagues. He has not taken an apartment in 3 years. He lives out of a suitcase. He's always been in hotels. He checks in, he checks out when the team goes on the road. So now it looks like maybe he can finally get an apartment. But a really interesting kid. Amazing the way he has developed his grasp of the English language. This is a kid who spoke very little English when he came to the States. And he really put a premium on that because he wants to bond with his pitching staff. Not just Spanish speakers. And he learned a lot of English, he said, watching Grey's Anatomy and listening to the comedy of Kevin Hart. So he gets his chance. And once again, him and Garrett Stubbs are good friends. And he really, in that story, he credits Garrett Stubbs for being such a good mentor to him. So, that's over at All City PHLY.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we'll be back next week. Philly Show will be back next week. Opening day is less than a week away. We know you have questions about the Phillies. So shoot us some questions on X, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Shoot us notes. We love answering your questions. And Jim, I'll smell you later, bud.
Hey, it looks like it's going to rain there, so you better take cover. I'll smell you later, buddy.
Smell you.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.